cloud. Okay, yeah.
I think, I mean, I think really just review. Like, I'm excited to just be back in the work with you again. What am I thinking about? I think I'm just amazed at how this work it goes through all the work that I'm doing, whether with clients or myself or even dancing again, you know. So, yeah, I'm just excited to review it all and be back with you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Anything else from anyone? So I want to read Anne Marie's sort of question, more observation, because as I read it and reread it a couple times before class tonight, to me it synthesizes all our work. And Anne Marie, I also feel that it synthesizes the Alexander technique, and you and I can talk more about it, or you can say more in class. So let me read it to you. And I really liked it. Um, one question I have been working with is the relationship of the head to the psoas muscles. Now remember, psoas, you need to, I mean, I'm realizing as I go on how flat these pictures are and how I have no idea how helpful they are to see, but it gives us an idea of these deep core muscles that string the legs of the spine and that stretch like an elastic band. And for our work, not only in Alexander, we talk about them as muscles of movement and posture. Psoas muscles are movement and posture muscles, but for us in the art that we're doing, they are how we respond to something, how we respond to music, how we respond to text, that relationship, the I-thou relationship that we have that stimulates them, that then speaks to the diaphragm. Case closed. I mean, that is voice work. And that's what makes it so hard, because you're really demanding from yourself. So just so you know, the psoas muscles and its relationship with the head. I know with the Alexander technique, we begin from the top with the direction head forward and up. And that is absolutely very, very true. And oftentimes people stop there. And I dare I say that even some Alexander teachers are very fixated, interesting word to choose, right? Fixated on that head releasing off the tip of the spine. We'll get to that. It seems to me in class, we start at the other polarity, engaging the psoas through sensing the up, the earth supporting us, as well as the allowing ear and eyes. In that way, the coordination places the head automatically in alignment on top of the spine. And that is really, really an incredible observation and absolutely right. And I will get to that. I have been acutely aware of when the head is the slightest out of alignment or down, as I can immediately sense the pain in the lower back and hear it in the voice. It must be more than just the weight of the head causing the sensation in the lower back. I am imagining it must be somehow out of the right relationship with the psoas muscles. It's everything. So I just want to, that word, unpack it. So let me just make myself big. We hear in Alexander all the time, head leads the spine into length. Absolutely true. Absolutely the way every single vertebrate is constructed. You know, think of a horse, think of a squirrel, you know, there's that direction. Head, fine, spine follows the lead of the head. But to limit ourselves, and I've seen this with teachers of this. I had a teacher once early on when I came to New York, and I remember going to lessons, and I never thought I knew anything, right? So I would go to lessons, and he would stand in front of me, and he'd be doing this. And I'm thinking, am I making him cause his head to be pulled down on the spine? Why is he he was trying to release his head off the tip of the spine. But it doesn't work that way. Because if we are pulled down in our bodies, right? If we're just here and sort of trying to find something called the release of the head, you hear it, as Anne-Marie pointed out, you hear it instantly in my throat. I'm trying to free my head. Teacher tells me my neck is tight, jaw's tight, my head. I'm trying to free my head. But the rest of my body is doing a lovely job yanking my head down on the spine. The head also gets pushed down on the spine when we go in to try to feel, to try to see. And all of a sudden I see it with my students. They stand in front of the chair and they're like this. And I'll say, allow your neck to free. And I know what they're doing. They're looking in, trying to see, trying to feel. So when we're here and we're practicing what we practice, which is that one must stream up, right? The construction of the body is that we are built with these anti-gravity reflexes to use gravity to go up and away from it. So if we're here and focused only on our heads and neck, you hear the voice instantly. There's no support for it. I'm totally out of breath, right? Because everything gets pulled down in me. But when I let the earth support me, or our famous comfortably erect chair, everything enlivens in my body, and I have freed my head. And what does that really mean? What do you want to call it? Physiologically or philosophically? The freeing of the head off the tip of the spine is just being totally present. Being here with you, not being in my head like this, trying to see, trying to feel, because look at my body now. Can you see it? Brings us to Kathy's observation, but I'll get to that in a moment. See how everything is held in me, Jen? But here, it's a different world. And here, I'm seeing, we talk about singing, speaking from behind the eyes. But that's where imagination is found, right? We're here. It's like that mask, right? We're here. We're not looking in at what we know. That's the freedom of the head off the tip of the spine. It just is. So it's a much bigger thing than simply something that's positional, although I will tell you, and I was telling my students at Columbia today, our first class, boy, I said, you're not going to understand anything about this work, and you have to be okay with that. When I started out, I was so desperate to understand. And there wasn't many resources, because this was, in the 1970s. We had one teacher in Boston, Massachusetts, in the Boston area. He lived in Arlington. Joe Armstrong, wonderful. And, but there weren't a lot of books and resources. And what there was, I would just take them and I try to figure out. And I was desperate to figure out what this thing meant. And I would see pictures, graphics of the weight of the head and coming forward. And just like Anne-Marie is saying, and I was besides myself because I could not understand what this meant to release the head forward and up, because I had just that understanding on a postural level, on a mechanical level, rather than what Aunt Marie points out, which is it is the wholeness. And yes, gravity, when we play with our allowing feet, sensory nerve endings in the feet, remember, they stimulate the postural muscles, the psoas muscles. So indeed, it's here to here. As a singer, it's always that way for me. So if I'm here, right, if I'm letting something fill me, I find that core, that grit, that need to express, that is the only thing that is going to animate the diaphragm. So it's beyond the mechanics. We can describe it mechanically, physiologically, but it's beyond that. You know, one thing I always object to is hearing this language, the body knows, the body knows, the body knows what to do. You know, no, it doesn't. The mind is always directing. I would hate to have thought way back in the 70s when I was just a head and a body below, a head that sang. I would hate to have thought, oh, I'm fine, my body knows what to do, I'll just get out of my way. No, it doesn't work that way. Not when you get to a certain level. You realize the extreme focus of mind that it takes, a very different type of focus to stay connected here every second. There would never be a time that I would throw myself away like that. I'm always directing that upward flow. And once again, my Zoom screen prints out, are you playing music? Or when I demonstrated just the pushing, it did not say that. But as soon as I work from here, all of a sudden I create overtones in my voice, and Zoom hears that as music and wants you to go to their professional settings. So absolutely, Anne-Marie, you're totally right. And as I stand, so, you know, you can, let's come to standing for a second to just experiment with this. And by way of also review of one of the great tools that we have, which is really getting out of our heads and letting the earth move us, letting gravity. It's like you're a human pendulum, right?
Jean,
That's what it is.
Jean,
Gravity is
excuse me. Jean, should
gravity
you
is
be
fine.
on full screen now?
Yeah, somebody say something.
Should you be taking the full, should you be on a full screen now?
Am I on the full screen?
Should you be?
Yes. Did you want me
Yeah,
to?
I'm not getting it. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
How many of you are not getting it?
is everybody else getting it?
I think if
Okay.
you click the speaker view on in the top right where it says gallery,
Top right.
you
Okay,
hover over where it says view and then click it and it'll give you gallery or speaker. Speaker will show you Jean.
sorry to bother you. You know what? I'll grab my husband. He's inside. He'll do it. Yeah, I'll take care of it as long as I know it's me.
I
Okay.
should be big to everyone.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
But thank you so much, Joanne. That was helpful to do it. So standing, notice how you are. Now, I think about this a lot. You have no idea how difficult it is, because it was really difficult for me to know when I was going down and when I was going up. And teachers would say, don't go down. I was clueless, right? I didn't perceive that. So what we're doing every class that we have is we're developing a certain sensitivity to perceive, not going in trying to feel it, but to perceive our body in space, this kinesthetic awareness of perceiving our body in space. Those of us who perform on stage know how important that is, to be aware of how our body is being used. So the fun game of hanging out and letting the earth move you. You may trigger a big, deep, reflexive inhalation, and that is wonderful because it shows you how all those muscles align, how all those muscles work. You can't have one without the other. The psoas is going to communicate to that diaphragm. And feel how free you feel. Now that's, Emery, that's a total release of the head off the tip of the spine. It's just that, you can spiral from the ankles, right? Don't spiral yourself. That's a whole different world. People do that. But no, you're letting yourself be spiraled. Maybe it's different from what you think. Who knows? And again, every time I do it, I find myself having this incredible inhalation. So that's when you are thinking about the whole Alexander release of the head off the tip of the spine. This is really a crucial element that organizes the whole. But how do we come to think of it? Alexander was not good in any of his writings. I'm rereading some of them for my paper, and it's very obscure. And so I think it's through the experience, and certainly I know my teacher, we talk about this all the time. It's the streaming up from the earth. But maybe do this, feel how free your limbs are, everything, how open you feel, how you're if you do this, you are in your hands, rather than if you were just lifting your arms, wouldn't be the same. Look how dead I look. But when you're coming out of that core, right? Think of yourself on stage and you're just embracing that audience, engaging with them rather than presenting. So we keep working with that. But Anne-Marie, I just felt that I'm going to keep that. I may share it with my students at Columbia, though they probably won't understand it at this early stage. But it really said everything about how we have to think of the organization of the body and the coordination. Absolutely. The head pulling down on the spine, that compresses. Why Anne-Marie felt pain is that it's compressing everything. It's an overall pattern. And Alexander said that compressing the head onto the spine threw off the coordination. In so many words, he said that. It threw off the coordination, and it does. But we have to realize what creates that condition. It's not just a matter of I'm tense there, or I have a neck tension. It's really how we are processing. If we're here, that's the freedom of the head. If I'm here, that's the freedom of the head. If I'm here, that's the freedom of the head, right? If I'm here, that's the freedom of the head. So it doesn't have to be any sort of a position or, a strong spine like that. It can be any place. It's just how we think. Anne-Marie, I want to hear your thoughts on that. Anything that came into your mind, or anyone, when we were doing that?
I'm not sure if what came in, but it's a feeling, I think, or a sensation. You can, it's like I can sense when it's right, or I sense when I'm there. It's hard to describe it, but I sense equally when I'm not there.
Absolutely.
So it goes down
and also to not just focus on the head, but what is that state of mind, that state of being, which is going to release the head. So then Janice, and this is really important because it's sort of, who's not with us, but hello, Janice, how are you? I find that I run out of breath after discoursing after a few minutes. Is there a way to create a reservoir so this does not happen, so I can finish my speeches? Think about that. I find that I run out of breath after discoursing after a few minutes. Is there a way to create a reservoir so this does not happen so I can finish my speeches? Think to yourself, what does that mean? I run out of breath after a few minutes. Hello, Aida. We just had a wonderful discussion about, you'll hear it on the replay, about Alexander and the release of the head, and I was so hoping that you would be here, but you weren't. And then I, in my way, as I like to say, my Sicilian worry gene kicked in, and I thought, I hope you're well, and I hope your back is good and everything. So, but it's wonderful to see you. You look fabulous. But that thing, running out of breath, what is going on? If you had to diagnose it, what would you say that means, running out of breath? I think it's important for us because we throw these words around all the time. What does that mean? Anyone want to have a guess? Yeah, Mary.
Maybe you're not allowing yourself to be
Oh,
breathed.
Mary Keith first and then Mary
Oh,
Farrell.
it's okay.
You're
I was-
both together.
Sorry.
That's okay. Mary Keith.
I was muted. It just sounds a little bit like you're holding your breath rather than letting the air to flow through your body. You stop the energy.
Well, that's very good. It's that motor. And so it's not being supported by breath. The breath is not making the sound. Mary, were you going to say something similar? The other Mary?
Yes, basically that you weren't allowing yourself to be breathed.
Right. That
Trying to control-
upward flow that we have. This is where I say the mind is always working, because you constantly have to do that. And it's very easy if the body is going down in any way to go on and on and on and be totally caught up in the throat and then and then there's the gasping, or all of a sudden the voice cuts out because it's one says, oh, I'm running out of air. Who's asking that about collapse? I can't see. Oh, is it Carolyn? Is that you? Yeah. I'll just interrupt and say, Carolyn, and say, gee, I was wondering, as a master of all of this, do you ever find yourself collapsed and or do you kind of turn it off at all outside of the classroom? I hope that's not too nosy of a question. No, it's not nosy at all. Not anymore.
Mhm.
It's so much a part of me. But you know, I came from a training, the 3-year training course, and I would put hands on a teacher. She'd be lying on the table, and you know, and then I would finish and she would compliment what I'd done. But then I'd walk around the table to the other side, and she would say, keep it.
Mhm.
Because it was sort of like I would, you know, get myself prepared and then do the work and then back to Schlumpy Jean, right? I mean, that was the sort of thing. So it is so much, listen, you know, I've been doing this since what, since I was 23. It's a very long time. And I've performed and had used it that way and taught it since 1991 was when I was certified. So it just becomes part of you. Now, I will notice sometimes, you know, not being the world's best sleeper and getting up, and I'll come to the side of the bed and I'll find myself, I'll make myself big again, sorry. I'll find myself like that. Comes into my mind, comes into my awareness. I'll bring myself out of it. That's the important thing. Bringing yourself out of it, letting yourself become aware of it, and it probably doesn't even look that bad. But standing or my practice, I guess because it's so integrated now into my work, into the support for my voice, into feeling that sense of engagement, that just is part of me. Sort of like thinking of an athlete, a pitcher at a mound, and they're, you know, young in comparison to me. And they are just, I mean, they retain that. Great athletes retain that. whether they're on the basketball court or they leave the pitcher's mound, they just retain that. That's just their way of life. You know, that's what makes them professional ball players. As they are gifted by God for that wonderful coordination. So yes, I remind myself, even my teacher, John Nichols, and he graduated in England from the training program in 1978. So imagine how long he has been teaching. And, you know, he will say to me that sometimes he notices himself do something like that. And I said, John, I've never seen that in you ever. But see, we become more attuned to subtlety and more attuned to when we do that, go down. It's not a matter of pulling yourself up. It's just having that. But I want to talk about Janice's, what she said about breath. And it is exactly what you said. It is speaking from the throat and going down. But again, I make this point, and I will always make this point because it's so important, that there is no way that we can, maybe it ties in with what Carolyn just said, there is no way we can engage the right muscles for voice that take us out of our throat if we are like this, if we are down, if we are collapsed. I don't feel my legs when I do this. I mean, I just feel like, ugh. So if I'm going to give a speech and I'm nervous anyhow, let's say, and I'm talking like that, you hear it instantly, I'm talking in my throat, I'm going to find myself gasping for breath. But the moment I'm here, I've engaged all those muscles. So I may pause for whatever reason, like I just have done, like that. Air rushes into me. And when you're giving a speech and you're having that relationship with the audience, there are many moments where you're going to be here and you're here with your audience and you stop. You know, you're not stopping, but you're pausing. Air is going to come in. You know, I've shared this with you so many times, my work with Carl Stow, but he had a very famous opera singer for the Metropolitan Opera, and she was renowned for how she phrased her music, considered a great artist through her phrasing. And she said, you know, Carl, you know why I phrase that way? I had no breath. It doesn't matter how long your breath lasts. Right there, breath came into me. But there was a split second, natural, that just, how long, and I went to say something. The breath automatically comes in. We're unaware of that. But when you have integrated, when you've worked all those muscles of support of breath, inhalation is a reflex and it will just come in. To sit in solemn silence in a dim, dark dock, awaiting the sensation of a sharp drop from a cheap and chippy chopper on a big black block. Right? You're moving the air, you're moving the air, you're moving the air. But if I went to sit in solemn silence in a dim, dark dock, I'm already out of breath. All of this movement is stirring the breath stream and sending it up. I think it's a really excellent question. And I think that we have to, again, look at what's going on in the body. Sometimes it's much easier to do voice work seated. Why? When we're standing, we're opposing gravity. When we're seated and we practice our tool of sitting comfortably erect, the chair supporting us, you stimulate those core muscles that are going to influence the diaphragm, that are going to be your motor that sends air up. So that is, I think, really, thank you, Janice, wherever you are this evening. That was an excellent question, and we'll continue to work, and we'll keep that in mind as we go through our routine tonight. And finally, Kathy, you know, she said, you often say to us to use you. let you do the work. Be curious as to what Jean's process is and let that get into us. What is the best way to achieve that? Should we use our ear to hear and match our frequency tone as we stay outside ourselves? Or is it more advantageous to think, what is Jean's bottom torso motor doing, and let that get into us? I think it's just a way that one learns how to work, and doing any work in the arts, and certainly doing Alexander technique, which is the same as singing, same as voice work, right? I am living something in myself. You know when I learned this? Way back in 1972, when I went to study with Olga Averino. And I did not understand what she was saying about impulse. It was really musical and disciplined. She liked me. She was very, very upset with my posture, thought it was just besides herself about me, because I was so pulled down. But I was very open. She used to say, and even when I saw her, when I went back to see her give a master class in the 80s, she was, 91, and her eyesight had gotten very bad, and she was still brilliant. And I reminded her who I was. And this was, a long time. And, almost 20 years since I had seen her or been with her. And she said, I remember you. You were always quick. Because for some odd reason, I was able to stay open and be curious. And I had such trust in this amazing person. I wanted so much to be inspired by her, to connect to what her experience was. That's what it was. What is Olga's experience as she was sitting at the piano, playing brilliantly, and talking about impulse? And of course, then that was what happens in Alexander work. If you stay open and curious as to what you're going to discover, because you don't know what you're going to discover because it's brand new. You don't have a vocabulary, you don't have a whole thing of feelings. It's brand new. This new world, sensory world. So in Alexander, if you stay open, the teacher, when they put hands on you, is living something all the time in them. That's how it's communicated. It's not fixing a student's body or something. It's that if I stand by a student and I am in this place of myself and I put hands on, that's what the hands are going to communicate. Where I am is always it is always you. It is not your student. That was the graffiti that was written in the bathroom in the great training school in England. It's you, not your student. So if something isn't going well in your student, first go back to yourself and find out, am I overdoing, am I tightening, whatever. So that's what I mean, that if you stay open to my experience, you begin to stimulate a part of your brain that can sense in you the difference between me when I'm like this and me when I'm here. And then you stay open to what insights you get, which is your own unique way of understanding and your own creative process. This is the work. It's very creative in that way because it's not a bunch of tools, a bunch of rules. It is saying, what is that? And that's how I learned a lot about singing, is I would watch great singers. Like, what are they experiencing in themselves? Why does it look that they just look so effortless? Looks like they're doing nothing except opening. What could that be? You have to work that way. That's what I mean, right? I'm living an experience all the time. If I'm at the piano, I'm living it with the student, what I want the student to experience in themselves. You know, we're in person in a group class. It's very interesting to see the growth that happens because everyone is sharing something similar, and the people that don't seem, you know, the right for the work, they leave usually. So you have a group of people that are sort of like-minded, and there's a lot of growth that happens, even if it's successions. There's a tremendous amount of growth that happens, but that's part of what all of this is. So let's go back to, let's integrate everything that we did. And Marie's question, Kathy, Janice about breath. And we haven't done something in a while, and I think it might be important. We always do this standing. We always put our hands here for the motor, and that's important. But, you know, sometimes it's nice to do breathing work lying down, and we haven't done that in a while. And it's good to renew our acquaintance with that. And this will help. Janice, this is also for you to understand how to keep that motor going and what is it that you can do to help yourself. Yeah, I think that might be okay. So come to lying down, but if you would rather not do that on the Zoom, you can wait and do it at home. And just get a sense of yourself. I think it's important to take a moment and remind yourself that it's this direction. Keep your eyes open. Now, why do I say that? Because I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but the moment I close my eyes, everything falls apart in me. And I might falsely, hear it in my voice right away. I might falsely think that's a state of relaxation. Oh, I've just let myself go. But keeping eyes open engages those muscles. And I'm inviting flow, I'm inviting movement, and I'm letting something emerge into mind, that creative mind. So it's this direction. This is what Anne-Marie said earlier. I put hands on my ribs like this, the allowing hands, right? And we feel how the ribs instantaneously open up into your hands. We'll get to that. How do we draw up our legs? Do we pull like this from the thighs? Or can we allow each leg to be drawn up like that? And if it triggers a reflexive inhalation, how wonderful. So you're observing, wow, look at that. Look at how something moved my leg up. So it's not me sort of pulling arbitrarily, but really permitting. And deep breath. And you never know, many people just sort of stop like here, but there's always a bit more. The psoas muscles are lengthening, and so you're here. Okay, your breathing practice. Hands are here, and the more that you're in that alignment, you're instantly, when you come to the lie down, do your work, you're going to feel yourself expanded. And that feels really great. Just really great to feel yourself expanded. If you start to put an allowing hand, what we talked about, like we just had allowing sits bones, chair rising up, allowing feet, earth rises up. So whenever you put an allowing hand on yourself, you're going to stimulate your integration. You just will. Do it first with the ribs, however is comfortable for you. For me, it's a variation like this. And I just watch my body open and breathing. I don't know the full extent of my inhalation. I don't know that. But I stay open. Inhalation is a reflex, and I let the air fill me. I'm always surprised. And also, I feel coolness right back here in the back of my throat. That's the open throat. Come to your sternum. I love this area of the body to put an allowing hand. I love it. To feel the rise of the sternum in inhalation. It just feels so intimate to me, so connected. And again, I'm observing. I'm in a state of awareness rather than looking in, trying to see, visualize, trying to feel. Again, I'm always amazed at how much capacity there is. Sometimes it's nice to put a loving hand on the back of the neck or even on the forehead, or both hands on your skull. Because we know the brain breathes, the covering of the brain called the meninges, that breathes, but you can sometimes feel the movement in your scalp with your hands. It's very interesting to feel that. That's how far up all that breath goes. Right, that alignment of our spines, it fills all of us. I love using hands. It gets you out of your head and you begin to really take yourself in hand and teach yourself a great deal. Learning how to put hands on yourself is profoundly powerful. The amount of change that can go on from it. So we want to talk about that motor, that integration, that place. Come to the pit of your belly, right? Essentially what it is where the psoas muscles attach to the lumbar spine. And we're going to do our hiss. But we're going to control it with our hands in a way. What do I mean by that? Okay, so our hands are going to gently press in, very gently, as though it's a motor that is keeping the diaphragm engaged to send up the stream of air. You cannot feel the diaphragm. There are no sensory nerve endings in it, what we call proprioceptive nerve endings, but you can feel the diaphragm's effects in the belly and right here underneath your hands. If the diaphragm is weak and presses down, which makes us feel out of breath when we're speaking, then you will feel that hardness. But if you can maintain, and we start with the voiceless because that's so much easier, if you can maintain the softness throughout with your hands, if you feel that soft, soft, soft place, then you're good. Then you know that diaphragm is pushing on the lung, sending up a stream of air. So watch me a couple of times and hopefully you can hear it, see it. And then when I let the breath in, comes in, my lips closed, comes in through my nostrils. I like to put a hand on my ribs, right? I do something like this. So I feel everything. I feel how the rib cage expands. I feel the movement in my belly, but it's the whole picture. It's not either or. It's not either the ribs or the belly or just the belly. No, it's the entirety of the torso that lengthens and widens. That's Alexander terminology, but it's absolutely correct. Again, we're not tanking up before we start, so it's not a matter of and then doing it because we're in a state of flow and the body is always breathing out. So be clear in your mind, your direction. Now you're observing me, you're observing everything. Let everything come into mind. Observe it all. Observe the openness, the fullness, what happens here. But know that why that sound is coming out of me, how that breath stream, it's due to my hands doing it, not my push. Not a push up here and hands here. I'm really making my hands do the work. That may give you pause, right? You may have to think about that a little bit because we're so used to being in our heads and looking in at something called our hands rather than really thinking that you have put hands on a student. I often think, I did think of giving just a class for people who are working with students with breathing or if they're physical therapists, whatever, to sort of teach them some of this because it's so helpful to learn how to put hands on somebody and encourage the right thing to happen. Let's do it again. And what you're doing is see that softness. It's really wonderful to have that softness. I love putting my hands both places because you feel that there is something that goes on here. And that is because the diaphragm, when it contracts, it flattens, it pushes on the abdominal organs. Plus, when you are exhaling like we did, why you're sinking in like that is that the psoas muscles are lengthening and the belly literally sinks in. So now, if you want to invigorate, and I will tell you something, my students at Columbia, even after they graduate, this is the hardest thing. Voicing the hiss. Every single one of them, the hiss can be wonderfully done, and immediately I say, well, it's impulse for sound. They say it like that, to voice the hiss. Immediately, zzz. It goes to an idea of sound. And once you have an idea like that, once you think I'm making voice now, or it's sound, you're in your head, you're in your throat. So your mind has to constantly direct the fact that it is breath moving up and vibrating the vocal cords. That's why this is sort of an essential exercise, essential tool, because you want to be able to understand how sound is just breath. You don't need to make sound. There is a knowledge in your very being, in your unconscious about what that is. And of course, the stronger our desire to express is, the stronger the diaphragm becomes to make a bigger and bigger sound, but you don't worry about that. So, notice when I demand more from my diaphragm to sustain air pressure in the lungs for sound, not going to be the same as the voiceless. It won't go on as long, and that's just absolutely the way it is. It's always amazing to me because I certainly did not start out this way, but I'm amazed at how I can retain that softness even with the demand of the diaphragm. Now, what happens when people try to make sound, they will instantly feel a ballooning out of their belly and a pushing down. That's the pattern that happened. And you know, you got to be brave with yourselves. And if you feel that with your hands, that's okay. You got to know that we all did that until we didn't. We all did that. Our diaphragms were weak, we pushed. All did that. But what is so wonderful is to know that you can change the pattern by your knowledge and by what your hands are doing. So that is the sending of the air, the sending of the air. So Janice, that one is for you and for everyone to understand, how do you start to stimulate the right muscles? What is it that you can do to help yourself? Question from anyone? Just shout it out. No? Let's do it standing. Let's do first the voiceless and then the voiced. You're going to feel maybe different things. Definitely when you're standing, and you can notice it right now, you're not going to feel the same softness. You just are not going to. It's just not. You're using different muscles. Is everyone on mute, or do you have a question for me? Can't hear.
I'm so sorry, Gina. I had somehow unmuted.
Oh, okay. So hands are here. Little bit of inward pressure. And you see that, Anne-Marie, that's the head releasing off the tip of the spine, right? But it's coming from here. Whatever it is that we're doing is all coming from here. You're stirring the pot. You're stirring the pot. You're not making, it's not an idea of sound, which would ought to be totally in the throat. So let's take it into song or voice or singing. Now, how many of you felt that you had a knee-jerk reaction to that? Oftentimes we do. Right, it becomes the fear of singing, right, and expression. And it's so normal and it's so natural, and I find that the cure for it is working with breath. But let's start, and let's start to have our jazz like we always do. Our psoas muscles are time muscles. Our experience of time, our ability to experience rhythm, time, it's all found there, to live it, to live time, right? You know, not metronome, not all of us when we started piano lessons, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. How horrible is that? But that's how we all did it. Instead, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, feeling that up And that's the joy of music. So that's the up and the down too. Right? So 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 so. Now think about what's going on here. If we jump into our heads and we try to make it, that's how we think we have to be. We have to feel the so's. We have to maybe imitate me or whatever. And so we will try to do it from our throats. So, 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 so. We'll do something like that rather than the body being alive with time, which is going to talk to the diaphragm. Case closed. It's magic. How is that possible? That how we're feeling the ba-da-ba-ba-ba thing in our being. It's going to talk to the diaphragm. The diaphragm is going to send up the air and vibrate the vocal cords. And out here, our audience hears 5 so's. And they get enlivened by it. But if I'm thinking, okay, and if I'm pulled down in my body, right? If I'm pulled down my body, I have no choice. No choice. I cannot go so. I can't do it. I can't feel time. It's so crucial to recognize that. But when we're here, right? You know, remember getting bounced, or just feeling that, oof, yeah, bah, yeah, bah, yeah. That, you know, you can do that all the time. You just feel like, oh yeah, I'm a time machine. I'm just living that. So. See, it's doing do, ba 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 ba, yeah ba 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 ba, yeah ba 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 ba. You know, it's beyond our comprehension. I mean, it's sort of unpack a little bit and talk about what's going on with the diaphragm, but it's beyond. It feels very magical. What you live, if you're integrated, if you're aligned, right? If you're not down and collapsed, right? When you're in this place, what you live, whether it's music, whether it's text, how you're living it. Not the words, not trying to do the words, but what you're living is what's going to come out of you. What's going on there? Again, go back to Janice's email about the running out of breath. Be honest with yourself, be brave. How many of you, did any of you feel out of breath? And that's an indication then that you are trying to sing. I mean, well, you're not letting me breathe. You know, I can't keep up, all of that. But no, when we are renewing this constantly, here and here and here and here and here, right? Without this idea, again, that's the head releasing off the tip of the spine. When we're living this, we get breathed. Our body, this is again what I was saying to Janice's email, our body is going to breathe us. It's the nature of the body. So between, believe it or not, between every one of those 5 so's, breath was coming into your body. If you are living it, if you are living the time. When you go to words, it is much more difficult. It's the way our brain works. We start to think words. And we always remember, we always do our 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s because, you know, it's very demanding. Because instantly we'll go right to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it sounds as dull and as uninteresting as anything. People jump to do the 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They go and they do that. And all you're hearing as your audience is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How boring is that? Your body has to live the music. It has to, that's what I'm saying. There's a real responsibility in it, right? It's like, what? We hear the musicality. We're living the musicality, and that's what lives in us, rather than the idea, which would pull us high into ourselves, of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How horrible, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The moment I go to that, my voice focus isn't to the right place. And one will hear it more. It's harder to hear, I know, on Zoom, and Zoom cuts out a lot. But let's try that. So let's say that we're going to do it. Well, let's do a few of these, and then we'll come back and we'll do something fun with it. But, you know, let me show you something first, right? So if I'm just in my B, or maybe something like that, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Speech is a reflex. Let's never forget that. None of us need to make the words 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're inside us. We have to learn to speak. Once we learn to speak, it functions as a conditioned reflex. Never need to do words. Remember the great acting teacher Stella Adler, you do not act words. You act from your soul. And that's really what it is, right? Soul, as, right? It's one and the same. So, but let's try our 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2. So for me, that's where I am with each one. I don't close off with a 5. 5, see, I don't do that. It's just the music is pouring out of me. It's living in me. It is not about my voice. Certainly was not the way I started out. It was all about my voice when I started out. My singing, my voice, my presentation. But then you go on, and that's your journey, and all of a sudden it shifts. It's not that anymore. It's about the music. And then your audience responds differently. They don't talk to you about your voice. They tell you how energized they feel, right? How moved they were. They were exhausted when they came in, and now they leave and feel on top of the world. And that's because you're living something. I propose we do it like that. Oops. No, we start here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If it's hard for you to do ahs, you do mahs or whatever. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's challenging because our instinct is to try to do it. Like that, right? Instead of just stay open. And notice what emerges from you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When you go back to review this, notice, just see if you can train your ear. Go back to Kathy's email. See if you can hear. What comes out of me? How am I hearing it? Guarantee you that you're going to hear that I hear something before I start. And if you haven't had that experience yet, you will. And it is very interesting because every single musician, maybe we have to say good musician or musician of a certain level, hears in this exact same way. Doesn't matter if it's instrumentalist, singer, classical music singer, jazz, Ella, Frank, right? They hear Bob Dylan, they hear the note in the right way. They hear the note. There is a part of the brain, the musical part of the brain, that is opened up to hear the ping, to hear the, what I used to call the soul of the note. Years before that, I called the psychological character of the note. You hear that. But as for me, it's like I hear it before. When I was talking music, as you hear ahead, musicians hear ahead. But that's what it is. It's a awakening a part of mind that you can't, it can't be literal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, Before any of you, I'm always in the process, right? I am always demanding, always commanding what it is that I want. So I'm always renewing, 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 and renewing, and renewing, and renewing, and renewing. And it isn't that renewing each phrase on top of the next phrase. And that's what breathes me. But if I were collapsed in my body, and if I was trying to sing, I would use the same thing. She's not letting me breathe. Be grabbing for breath. I'm behind because I can't catch up. But then you would know that you're doing it and there's a different place. So you're hearing that music, that hum all the time. So if we take our little tune, harder than we think it is, because we know this now so well, but it's so in us. La, 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 la. Stop. Right? You could be here and hang out. Then we might go la 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 la. How many of you felt yourself jump ahead? No, because you're in the moment. La 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 la. So in essence, every phrase just like that is renewed, even if we go normal speed. La 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 la. La, 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 la. So I ask you, and this is, a way of really understanding how do we stay in that open mind, that creative mind, and get impressions come up into mind, to get characters come up into mind. What got stirred in you? Did some quality come through that surprised you and that you live with that, or did you get stuck in the idea of now you're singing a song? See that, right? Right? Know that there is a difference between letting the music fill you and responding to the music and the idea of singing a song. Because that's really what music making is, right? You're in response. It's stimulating something in you, and that is what's going to put interest into what comes out of you that somebody hears. So it's just not going to be a blanket sort of one size fits all sort of thing. It's going to be constantly being renewed. So I think we're here. La 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 la. What gets stirred in you could be very different tomorrow. La 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 la. And you never need need to make the laws, right? If I thought I had to make the laws and I was trying to articulate well, la 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 la, whew, we wouldn't want that. La la la, we try to do it, it would sound exactly like that. Instead of, when you work from here, the tip of the tongue gets enlivened. La 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 la, and it flips the tongue. So your body is doing the work. Your body is singing you. La 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 la. Jump ahead, jump around. La 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 la. Instantaneous focus. Voice, you don't have to try to find where's my placement, let me focus. You're hearing it, and that is what is making your voice focused. La 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 la. Go down even lower. Those of us with higher voices, that's harder. Do I push? I have a choice. Do I try to sound loud and make myself heard? La la la, do something like that, or by using my skills, la 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 la. That's sort of it for the lowest part of my range. But notice there was no push. I trusted the process, I trusted the breath, I trusted my ear, the mind. La 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 la. And maybe it's mysterious now. La 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 la. So you're working. I think this is, we've done the song so much, and why it is so challenging is that when it repeats like this, it is so easy to go off in your mind and just sing and go on automatic pilot. And sometimes in private lessons, I'll just stop. And the student will go on and continue on. Because they're in this hickaloo, right? They're in this wheel of just singing mindlessly. Instead of what happens as you go on, you become very, very clear and very focused. I'm going to try it. I'm always so horrible with share screen, but I think I can do it. We haven't done this slide just up here, so we might as well do it. Let's do Wade in the Water. And you can see the whole song down to There Must Be Someone Who Will Buy. I'm not Wade in the Water. Who will buy? Get away. Such a star you never did see. Should we do it? For those of you, I think I can play this. Such a star you never did see. You will tie it up with a ribbon, put it in a box, so I can see it at my leisure whenever things go wrong. And I would keep it as a eternal treasure till I smile on my verse first, then we'll do it again. But then we go to the second verse and let's go higher, which may be more comfortable for everyone. The next time we can go up another step. Here am I, this wonderful morning, such a sky never to see. Sorry. It's been a while for me. So I can sit at my leisure whenever things go wrong, and I would keep it as a treasure to the last night of life long. Here am I, this wonderful feeling. I'm so high, so I could fly. Me, oh my, I don't want to lose it. So what am I to do to keep the sky so blue? There must be someone nearby. Can we go up one more time to do it again, whole song, and see if we can do this? Feels too high for anyone, you drop out. Now what I was doing before, and then I messed up in the piano with. That's what you got to feel all the time, right? That's what you live. And if you want to do that, rather than the words, if the words you're not so up on all the words or they're not memorized, what is important is the music. So why don't we do that? Those of you who know the words very well and you want to do the words, that's perfect. Some of you have done the song a long time with me. But let's do. So when you do nonsense syllable, you're living the essence of the song. And if the opposite is to sing from the word, and it sounds like, who am I, this wonderful morning, you're doing the word and it's a, and then the word, who am I, this wonderful morning. If you listen, you're still going to hear, and believe it or not, your audience is responding to the music. The words just come out of you. But when you're working with a good composer and lyricist, there's such a marriage between the two that's what you're experiencing. The words to, Rodgers and Hammerstein were the great, I mean, that was, well, so many great partnerships, but that's this perfect marriage. So let's gather around and observations, please, questions, anything at all. Someone have a hand up, is that Jill? Oh yeah, Schechter.
Speaking about breath and running out of breath, I've been working on that, and there are reasons why I run out of breath. I think a lot of it is fear. The last month in my voice classes and delivering text when I think I'm running out of breath, I stay with the breath, and I'm amazed at how much more breath there is if I trust it.
That's
That's a
right.
new thing. And I realize I don't have to worry about, I'm worrying too much about the sound. If I focus on the reaction in the moment and the intention, the breath takes care of itself, because I realize I don't ever run out of breath talking to you, and I don't know why.
Right. That is brilliantly put, brilliantly observed, brilliantly understood. That is exactly what it is, because you're in the moment instead of the doing of something, the doing of text, the doing of trying to convey something. That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
Just one little thing. The
Yeah.
last month in my reads and my auditions, I've stopped marking up the text. I don't even yellow it out. And I find I audition better because I don't have a precondition.
Ugh.
And if I trust the breath, the moment takes me somewhere else more interesting. If I trust it, I don't need to worry about repeating it, because I don't need to repeat it, because each time I'm in the moment, there's a different wave, and I just find the wave. And if I trust the wave, it'll take me somewhere.
That's
And that's
That is exactly what it is. And then, since you say you have the script, if you have to hold the script, then the more that you practice that, allowing hands, right? Allowing eyes, of letting something come to you. I was saying that to class today, they just like cold reads, because if you go in and you're letting the words feed you, it's a very different experience. Something's going to come through. But if you try to say the words, work from the words reading, it still amazes me sometimes. The graduates of the program come to me for a lesson and we do line readings together, lines from something they have, and they're still like reading the lines rather than what Schechter is just saying. So excellent. Mary, who had a hand up, a little emoji hand. Somebody have a hand? Yeah.
I was clapping for what
Oh,
Schechter.
that was the clap. I thought that was, a little like. Next, please. Other observations from people. Schechter, that was wonderful. Yeah, Jillian.
My observation tonight is, like, even now talking, like, just the little bit of awareness of this. It's like, I'm curious, Jean, when we were first lying down and we were just had our hands on, like, how much of your awareness is on this, like, knowing it's coming from, being present and connected to that space, while also just letting the breath come in. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. So I'm always connected, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always, this is just, and again, it's like sort of an answer to Carolyn's question. It's just so a part of me now. I couldn't get away from it if I tried. I really mean it. So that I'm always with that, and I'm aware of what happens in, an inhalation, a good inhalation, right? There is this whole expansion and you feel the body. So if I really am here with the motor, my hands are conveying that motor to the diaphragm, basically, to make it rise, to make it move if you're doing the voiceless. And then I pause and I open to let the air come into me. So there is another part of this that we didn't talk about, but is really crucial. And that is your relationship with what's outside of you, with the oxygen. Right? So it's not a sort of narrow idea of breathing, narrow focus of I take breath to live or whatever it is, but it's really, can I open to something that fills me, this generosity of opening to it. So that is my awareness. I would say it's much more global.
Yeah.
What I mean, it's much more global. It's taking in the entirety of everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like the whole thing. It's not a linear sort of thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, it oddly totally answers it for me.
Good. Anything else from anyone? Wonderful class. Well, you can always write me with any questions, as I know you do. And so I was thinking about I think I had mentioned this, our 4 sessions. And I just, maybe as we close, you can just tell me your thoughts. I was thinking of starting on the Monday, the 6th, skipping the Columbus Day. I mean, I know none of us, well, most of us don't have something to do, but you know, some do. And then go the 6th, the 20th, the 27th. And here's the question. Do we then continue on for one more week, the 11th, the November 3rd, or do we take a little break and go to November 10th? And then, of course, we'll have our special holiday bonus review class in December. Do you like having a little break in between, a week off? What would you like to go straight through, with the exception of Columbus Day? Anyone have a thought on that in terms of how you integrate and think of things?
I'm just super happy that you're doing it. Either way, for me, I'm just so grateful.
Okay, so I think we might do something like that. Well, I'll figure it out. You'll get the famous flyer, but you know that at least you know when it's starting. And you know, we'll just continue on with anything that you bring in. I'd like to, I don't know if you were had come into the room at the time, but I was saying I often have thought of doing some sort of a workshop of how, if you're a teacher or, you know, therapist of some sort, physical therapist, how do you learn how to put hands on one of your students? But we'll incorporate all of that. Great. Wonderful work, people. Really, what a joy to spend time with all of you. So we will see each other soon. Schechter, thank you so much. I think about you a lot. Are you feeling better in terms of spine?
No, I've had a rough 3 months, and I'll talk to you about that later.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
I'm
and
trying to
really-
learn to use and maximize what I have. And what you've taught me the first class is, if I can find the sound outside of me, I don't have to worry about the damaged voice, because
Right.
then the voice won't create the sound. If I can do that like Willie Nelson can.
Yes,
It's
that's
like-
exactly right.
I've got to work on that, and I think that will save my life, but I'm not sure yet.
And your voice is beautiful to me when I hear it. There's a wonderful quality to it. There's a uniqueness. It's really beautiful. So, all right, friends, we will see each other soon. I'm going to stop the recording. So,